The night was thick with silence, broken only by the whispering winds that carried scents of dust and firewood. The resilient one walked slowly through the village, their heart heavy with unease. Shadows seemed longer than usual, reaching like fingers across the ground. The wise elder sat by the sacred fire, his eyes glowing faintly, as though touched by starlight. He said, "The ancestors speak tonight, child, and their voices tremble with warning." The resilient one replied, "Why does the air feel heavy, elder? Why do the stars hide behind the clouds?" The elder exhaled, his chest rattling as though the universe pressed upon him. "There is a fracture, unseen yet deep, and it is tied to your bloodline." Suddenly, the fire burst with unnatural brightness, flames leaping high and crackling with sparks that turned into strange symbols. The protector rushed forward, his expression fierce and wary, asking, "Elder, what danger comes?" But before another word could leave his lips, the wise elder's body trembled violently. His breath slowed, his chest fell, and with his final exhale he whispered, "Guard the stars, or all will fall into ruin." His hand dropped lifelessly, the crackling fire collapsed, and the sky thundered with a storm that had no rain. The resilient one fell to their knees, their souls shattered, as the heavens wept with silent fury. The storm's roar lingered in the air, though no rain fell, leaving the village trembling in fearful silence. Children huddled inside mud huts, whispering about curses, while elders murmured prayers to ancestors. The resilient one sat unmoving beside the elder's body, her tears streaking her cheeks. She whispered, "Why did you leave me with riddles, elder? Why must I carry this burden alone?" The protector placed a hand upon her shoulder and said, "You are not alone, sister. Your fight is my fight." His words were strong, but his eyes betrayed unease as thunder rumbled. The villagers gathered slowly, their faces pale with dread. One woman cried, "The sky is broken, and the elder is gone. Who will protect us now?" The resilient one looked up, grief hardening into resolve, though fear gripped her chest. She said, "I will guard the stars, for if they fall, so shall we." Her words echoed into the storm, though doubt gnawed at her heart. The wise elder's body was carried into the sacred hut, wrapped in cloth, marked with ancestral symbols. The village hummed with low chants, voices weaving sorrow into the air. The resilient one followed silently, clutching her beads tightly, her heart pounding with guilt. She remembered his final words, each syllable clawing at her soul. The protector whispered, "The elder entrusted you with more than a warning. He gave you his duty." But the resilient one shook her head, replying, "I am not strong enough to bear it." Inside the hut, the air was heavy with incense, smoke spiraling like spirits rising. An elder woman chanted, "The path of the stars is broken. The guardian must rise." Her eyes met the resilient one's, piercing and unyielding. Fear and destiny collided in that gaze, and the young heroine realized escape was impossible. Night deepened as drums began to beat softly, echoing through the village like the heartbeat of the earth. The resilient one sat apart, gazing upward at the storm-choked sky. She whispered, "Why me, ancestors? Why now?" The protector sharpened his spear nearby, glancing at her with unspoken loyalty. He said, "Strength is not born in calm seas but in storms. Trust yourself." His words comforted her, though doubt lingered. Suddenly, a bolt of silver lightning split the clouds, illuminating the sky in radiant light. Within its glow, faint silhouettes of ancestral spirits shimmered before fading. The villagers gasped, bowing their heads in reverence. The resilient one felt a chill race through her bones as if touched by unseen hands. She realized the stars themselves were watching. The storm softened, leaving the village bathed in eerie stillness. Smoke curled upward from the dying sacred fire. The resilient one stood slowly, her fists clenched, her voice trembling but firm. She said, "If the heavens demand it, I will bear this path. I will protect the stars." Her words carried across the hushed village. The protector nodded, pride softening his stern expression, and answered, Then I stand with you, through shadow or flame." The villagers stirred, hope flickering faintly among their fearful eyes. An elder woman whispered, "The guardian has spoken." The resilient one's heart thundered. She did not feel like a guardian, only a child weighed with the cosmos. Yet as she raised her face to the storm's fading clouds, she knew destiny had chosen her, whether she willed it or not. Morning broke, yet the air felt heavy with unanswered questions. The resilient one sat alone at the edge of the village, staring at the horizon where the storm had dissolved into a dim haze. She whispered, "The elder's voice lingers in my ears, a weight pressing upon my soul." The protector approached, placing his spear into the soil beside her. He said, "Your strength is not hidden, it waits to be called." The resilient one shook her head, her gaze sharp with doubt. "Strength feels like an illusion, a cloak that hides my fear." From behind them, the ambitious relative appeared, eyes glimmering with envy. He said, "Why should you bear this destiny? Was I not born of the same blood?" His words pierced like a blade, though he masked them with a faint smile. The resilient one turned slowly, her voice steady despite trembling inside. "The stars chose, not me." The ambitious relative's smile faltered, his eyes narrowing as seeds of betrayal sprouted within. The village gathered around the sacred tree, its roots sprawling like veins of the earth. Ancestral drums beat slowly, guiding the ritual of mourning for the elder. The resilient one stood before the tree, clutching her beads as chants rose in the air. She whispered, "If I falter, their hope crumbles." The protector leaned close and said, "They look to you not because you are flawless, but because you are chosen." The ambitious relative sneered quietly, his gaze fixed upon the resilient one, as if measuring her unworthiness. The villagers cried out in unison, "Guardian, guard the stars." Their voices pierced her heart like a double-edged blade, both empowering and suffocating. She lifted her head and said, "Then let my steps follow the stars, though shadows drag at my feet." The chants swelled louder, though doubt still clung like chains around her spirit. That night, the resilient one was restless, lying beneath the vast sky. Stars flickered faintly, as though weakened by unseen chains. She whispered, "Ancestors, show me why I was chosen." Her eyelids grew heavy, and visions flooded her mind. In the dream, the wise elder stood tall, glowing with ethereal fire. He said, "Your lineage carries the light of guardians long forgotten." The resilient one cried out, "But I am ordinary." The elder raised his hand, symbols shimmering around him. Ordinary flesh, extraordinary purpose. She reached toward him, but the vision dissolved into darkness, leaving her trembling. She awoke, gasping, sweat on her brow, the echo of his words carved deep into her spirit. The next morning, the protector led the resilient one to the river's edge, where the water flowed clear and calm. He said, "Strength does not rest in denial. Face yourself, and you will face the stars." She gazed into the water, her reflection wavering. "I see only fear," she whispered. The protector knelt beside her, his voice steady. "Fear is not weakness. It is the forge of courage." She reached into the water, and ripples distorted her face, transforming into fleeting visions of ancestors gazing back at her. Their silent eyes seemed to ask, "Will you rise?" Her heart beat fiercely, torn between flight and acceptance. She clenched her beads tightly, whispering, "If courage lives in fear, then let me breathe within it." As the sun set, the village prepared for the night ritual. Torches burned bright, casting long shadows across the earth. The resilient one stood in the circle of firelight, her beads clutched tight. The ambitious relative stepped forward, his voice sharp. Why should she carry the stars? What if her path dooms us? The crowd stirred uneasily. The protector raised his spear, his tone cutting through the noise. "Enough. Doubt feeds darkness." The resilient one raised her chin, her voice steady. "If destiny demands me, I will walk the fire, even if it consumes me." The villagers gasped as the flames flared higher, painting her silhouette against the night sky. At that moment, the weight of choice bore down upon her, and the journey of heritage truly began. The village square buzzed with unease, as whispers spread of omens and unrest. The resilient one stood at the center, her voice trembling yet firm. The stars tremble, and their song is broken. The protector stood at her side, eyes scanning the restless crowd. "We must remain united," he said, though tension coiled in his posture. The ambitious relative stepped forward, his tone sharp. "United under what? A vision none of us have seen? We risk ruin for her doubts." Murmurs rippled, faces shifting between fear and suspicion. The resilient one swallowed her rising dread. The elder's death was not fate's accident. It was a warning. Her words struck like a drumbeat, and the people stiffened. In the shadows, the power-hungry leader watched quietly, his gaze sharp with ambition, waiting for the moment to strike division deep into the heart of the people. The council gathered beneath the sacred hut, their faces grim, smoke from incense curling like questions with no answers. The resilient one said, "The balance of the stars has cracked, and darkness stirs in the cracks." An elder replied sternly, "You speak of curses, but people need food, not riddles." The protector said, "Without the stars' light, no harvest will flourish, no child will rest." The ambitious relative smirked, leaning back with folded arms. "Perhaps the gods have chosen wrongly." The wise elder's absence felt heavy, like an echo without voice. The resilient one clenched her beads, her tone fierce. "Doubt will not shield us from shadows. Only unity will." Yet from the corner, the power-hungry leader's eyes glinted, calculating every word, as his hand tapped slowly against his staff. That night, the resilient one walked among the huts, hearing fragments of doubt in hushed whispers. One villager murmured, "Why should a child bear such weight?" Another said, "The leader has wisdom. Perhaps we should follow him." Her chest tightened, fear clawing at her resolve. The protector approached quietly, placing his hand on her shoulder. "Doubt spreads quickly when fear is the seed," he said. She answered, "If the stars chose me, why do they not silence these whispers?" The protector replied softly, "The stars test faith through silence." From a distance, the ambitious relative spoke to villagers with charming tones, promising change, planting seeds of discord. In the shadows, the power-hungry leader watched, his lips curving into a smile that did not reach his eyes. By the riverbank, the resilient one sought solitude, her reflection fractured in the trembling water. She whispered, "How do I bear a destiny I never chose?" The wind carried the faint echoes of drums, though no hands beat them. The protector knelt beside her, voice steady. "Your path is heavy, but not yours alone. I will carry it with you." She lifted her face, eyes shining with tears. "But what if I fail, and the stars fall?" He answered, "Then we fall together, but we rise first." His words lit a fragile flame in her heart. Across the river, unseen, the ambitious relative watched with envy, his jaw tight. The power-hungry leader stood near him, whispering promises of power, planting poison in his ear. The seeds of betrayal grew deeper. The drums of the village pounded louder that night as the power-hungry leader called a gathering. His voice rang strong, "Tradition binds us to shadows, but I offer light through change." The crowd cheered, swayed by his eloquence. The resilient one stepped forward, her voice sharp. "Change without roots destroys the tree." He smiled coldly, "And roots that rot must be cut." Gasps rippled through the people. The protector raised his spear, his tone fierce. "Your words breed division." The ambitious relative joined the leader's side, his betrayal now plain. He declared, "She is not fit to lead, the stars have misled us." The resilient one's heart clenched, yet her gaze held firm. "If you cut the roots, the stars themselves will rise against you." Silence fell heavy, as the fire between them burned bright with conflict. At dawn, the resilient one was led to the sacred mountain, its peak veiled in mist, its slopes carved with ancient markings. The protector walked beside her carrying his spear, silent but watchful. She whispered, "The air here burns with unseen fire," he replied. "This is the path of guardians, none return unchanged." As they reached the base, a circle of elders awaited, their chants merging with the cry of distant eagles. The eldest elder raised a staff, etched with ancestral symbols, and said, "The trial begins. If the stars have chosen you, they will not abandon you in the fire." The resilient one swallowed hard, heart pounding like a drum. Flames flared suddenly from carved stones, their heat searing her skin. She whispered to herself, "If the heavens doubt me, let them judge me now." The trial began within the mountain's heart, a cavern lit by glowing crystals that pulsed like beating hearts. The resilient one stepped inside, shadows bending around her. Her voice trembled. "The darkness watches." The protector followed, his spear raised, though even his breath faltered. Suddenly, whispers slithered across the walls, voices of ancestors both kind and cruel. "Unworthy," one hissed. "Rise," another urged. The resilient one pressed her beads to her chest, whispering, "I will not falter." But the ambitious relative appeared from the shadows, his tone venomous. "Every step you take, I will undo." She gasped, torn between shock and fury. He smirked, fading back into the dark, leaving only echoes of betrayal behind. The cavern widened into a chamber where an ancient pool shimmered, its surface glowing like liquid stars. The resilient one approached, her reflection warping into monstrous forms. She whispered, "This is not me." The water rippled, forming visions of her deepest fears, villagers scorning her, the protector lying slain, the stars falling into endless night. She staggered back, clutching her chest. The protector said firmly, "Do not trust what fears show. They are smoke, not stone." She bent forward, trembling, and whispered, "But they feel real." A voice rose from the pool, the elders echo, "Courage is not absence of fear, it is defiance within it." She fell to her knees, whispering, "Then let me defy the shadows." The water calmed, glowing brighter as though recognizing her spirit. The trial's second test revealed itself as the ground shook, stones cracking open to unleash shadow spirits, their forms writhing in smoke. The protector raised his spear, shouting, "Stay behind me." The resilient one gritted her teeth, stepping forward. "No, this is mine to face." The shadows swirled, whispering curses of failure, claws reaching toward her. She raised her beads high, chanting words she did not know, but that flowed through her like fire. The cavern walls glowed with ancestral symbols, flaring brighter as her voice grew steadier. The protector's spear struck one shadow, dispersing it into mist, while the others recoiled from her light. For the first time she felt power not borrowed but alive within her veins. She whispered, "The stars burn in me." At last the cavern fell silent, shadows vanishing into the cracks, leaving only the glow of the crystals. The resilient one fell to her knees, gasping for air, beads glowing faintly in her hand. The protector knelt beside her, eyes wide with awe. "You stood when the darkness sought to break you," he said. She looked at him, tears mixing with a trembling smile. "I did not stand alone. The ancestors, the stars, you, all carried me." Suddenly, the pool behind them flared, a vision rising of the wise elder, his form vast and luminous. He spoke, "The guardian's blood has awakened. The path of trials is not ended, but you carry the flame now." The resilient one whispered, "Then I will carry it, until the stars themselves are safe." The night sky roared with thunder, though no storm brewed. The resilient one stood at the edge of the village, beads glowing faintly, her body trembling. The protector whispered, "The air is wrong. It carries the taste of betrayal." Suddenly, the ambitious relative stepped into the torchlight, his face hard with resolve. He said, "No longer will I watch from the shadows. The stars you claim chose you have misled us all." Gasps erupted from the villagers gathering nearby. The resilient one's voice cracked, "You are my blood, why turn against me?" His eyes burned with envy. "Because your rise is my fall." Behind him, the power-hungry leader emerged, smiling coldly, his voice like poison. Every star falls in time, and tonight begins your eclipse. The ambitious relative's voice carried like a blade through the crowd. She claims the stars chose her, yet shadows follow wherever she walks. Is this destiny, or is it curse? Murmurs spread like wildfire, doubt staining every face. The resilient one shouted, "The elder's death was not my doing, it was warning of what lurks." The leader raised his hand, silencing all. Warnings are excuses. The people need strength, not riddles. The protector stepped forward, his voice like thunder. Strength without truth is ruin. The leader sneered, "Truth is what power says it is." The ambitious relative's hand clenched tight. "Then, I choose power." The resilient one's heart broke as his betrayal solidified before her eyes. The resilient one turned to the villagers, voice trembling yet fierce. "Have I not bled beside you? Have I not wept when you wept? If the stars curse me, then they curse all of us." The people hesitated, torn between loyalty and fear. The leader's eyes gleamed as he declared, "She is no guardian, she is the cause of the cracks in the sky." The protector shouted, "Lies, he seeks to chain us with honeyed words." Yet the ambitious relative stepped forward, eyes dark. "I will show you the truth." He revealed a hidden blade, etched with forbidden symbols, its glow unnatural. Gasps filled the air. The resilient one's voice broke, "You carry the mark of shadow." He replied, "It promised me what the stars denied." The cursed blade shimmered, its glow spilling shadows across the ground. The resilient one whispered, "That weapon will consume you." The ambitious relative raised it high, sneering, "Better consumed in power than starved in silence." He slashed the air, and the village torches flickered wildly, as if recoiling. The leader's smile widened. "At last, proof that tradition is weak and the new dawn belongs to us." The protector stepped closer, his tone fierce. "Drop it, before it devours what's left of you." The ambitious relative's hand shook, his face twisted between pain and defiance. "It burns, yet I cannot let it go." His cry echoed, half human, half shadow, as darkness rippled from the blade into the sky. The sky itself cracked with light as the cursed blade's power surged, stars dimming one by one. The villagers fell to their knees, crying out in terror. The resilient one shouted, "Enough! If destiny is mine, I will claim it here." She raised her beads high, and they burst into radiant fire. The protector shielded her as waves of shadow clashed with waves of light. The ambitious relative screamed, torn between the blade's pull and the fire's cleansing force. The leader's voice thundered, "Break her, or break with me." The resilient one cried out, "You are still my blood. Choose redemption or be lost forever." His scream echoed as the blade cracked, its glow unstable, and the night trembled as if on the edge of collapse. The village square erupted as the cursed blade's crack split the night sky, stars flickering as though on the edge of death. The resilient one stood tall, beads blazing, her chest heaving with defiance. She cried, "If the stars fall, so will we, but I will not let them die tonight." The protector stepped forward, his spear glowing faintly from her firelight. "Then let us fight together." The ambitious relative staggered, torn between shadow and blood, his screams echoing. The power-hungry leader raised his hands, summoning torrents of dark energy, his voice thundering, "Tonight the cosmos bends to me." Lightning streaked across the heavens, and the ground trembled. The villagers scattered in terror while the resilient one whispered to herself, "Let my fear be my fire. Let the stars burn through me." The leader's shadow surged across the square, tendrils wrapping around huts, pulling them down like twigs. He shouted, "Your ancestors are chains. I am the future." The resilient one fought back with blazing beads, her voice carrying power. "A tree without roots falls at the first wind." The protector roared, driving his spear through the shadows, dispersing them into ash. The ambitious relative staggered forward, his cursed blade flickering with unstable light. His voice cracked, "I can still prove myself. I can still be more than you." The resilient one pleaded, "You are already more. You are my blood." He snarled, caught in the pull of darkness, yet his eyes flickered with hesitation. The leader's laughter rose, drowning all hope. The battle raged as fire and shadow clashed, shaking the earth. The protector shouted, "Stand firm," as he shielded villagers fleeing into the hills. The resilient one raised her beads, summoning ancestral symbols that lit the ground like burning stars. She cried, "Spirits of the sky, guide me!" The symbols pulsed, pushing back the shadows. The leader growled, his eyes blazing with fury. "You cannot command what you barely understand." He unleashed a wave of darkness that shattered the symbols, sending the resilient one crashing to the ground. She gasped for air, her body trembling with pain. The protector rushed to her, lifting her to her knees. "Do not fall. You carry us all," she whispered. "If I fail, the stars are lost." The ambitious relative raised the cursed blade, his face contorted between torment and longing. He cried, "If I destroy her, I prove I am worthy." The leader bellowed, "Strike, and your name will live forever." The resilient one lifted her eyes, whispering, "You were never my enemy, you are my brother." His hand shook violently, the blade's glow unstable. Shadows clawed at him, tearing his flesh with their hunger. He screamed, "It burns!" The protector shouted, "Drop it before it takes you." Tears ran down the resilient one's face. "Choose your blood over your pride." For a heartbeat, silence fell. His grip faltered, the blade cracking louder, and doubt warred with love in his trembling eyes. The final clash shook the heavens. The leader unleashed a torrent of shadows, roaring, "The stars bow to me." The resilient one rose, beads blazing with white fire, shouting, "They bow to none but the ancestors." Her voice echoed like thunder. The protector charged, spear striking through the dark wave. The ambitious relative screamed, torn apart by the cursed blade's breaking light. With his final cry, he hurled it toward the leader. The blade cracked open midair, exploding in a storm of fire and shadow. The leader staggered, his robe aflame, his scream drowned in the collapsing night. Stars flickered brightly, piercing through the cracked sky. The resilient one whispered, "The stars endure, and so shall we." The battlefield lay in ruins, shadows dissolved into smoke, and the air hummed with the echo of shattered power. The villagers emerged slowly from hiding, their faces pale with fear and awe. The resilient one stood trembling, beads dimming after their blaze, her chest rising with ragged breaths. She whispered, "The fire burns still, though my spirit falters." The protector steadied her with a hand upon her shoulder, his voice unwavering. "You carried us through the storm, and the stars still shine because of you." The villagers dropped to their knees, whispering prayers of gratitude, their voices a soft chorus that rose to the heavens. The resilient one raised her gaze to the sky, where stars returned, glowing brighter as if healed. "They live," she whispered, tears glistening. Yet within her, sorrow lingered. Loss weighed heavy, for the ambitious relative's sacrifice still burned in her heart. At dawn, silence hung heavy over the village. The resilient one sat alone before the ashes of the sacred fire, her face shadowed with grief. She whispered, "The stars endured, but I lost a brother to their fire." The protector approached slowly, placing his spear upon the earth as a sign of peace. "He chose in the end," he said softly. "Not shadow, but sacrifice." She clutched her beads, their glow faint but steady, and murmured, "Then may the ancestors carry him home." Around them, villagers rebuilt huts, carrying wood and stone, their hope rekindled by survival. An elder woman placed her hand on the resilient one's head and whispered, "Guardians carry both pain and light, you now carry both." The resilient one's eyes welled with tears as she bowed her head in silence. As the day passed, the resilient one climbed to the hill above the village, seeking silence. From the peak, she gazed at the horizon where the stars had faded into daylight. Her heart ached with the memory of the elder's final breath and her relatives' fall into shadow. She whispered, "The cost of destiny is never free." The protector joined her, his expression solemn. "Your path is heavy, but you did not walk it alone. You carried us all." She turned to him, her voice steady. "And still I fear what lies beyond this trial. If shadows rise again, will I always be enough?" He answered firmly, "Enough is not given, it is chosen." His words settled into her heart, and she felt the faint spark of peace. That evening, the villagers gathered once more beneath the sacred tree, its roots glowing faintly with ancestral symbols. The resilient one stood before them, her face calm though shadows lingered in her eyes. She raised her beads, whispering, "The ancestors live not in chains, but in light carried through us." The villagers responded with chants, voices rising together in harmony. An elder declared, "The guardian of the stars has risen, chosen by blood, proven by fire." The protector stood at her side, his presence strong and steady. The resilient one said, "I do not guard alone. The stars shine because of us all." The chants grew louder, echoing into the heavens as the first stars of night emerged above, glowing brighter than ever. At night's quiet peak, the resilient one stood alone beneath the sky, the stars burning brighter than memory. She whispered, "Elder, I carry your fire. Brother, I carry your pain. Ancestors, I carry your hope." Her voice softened, trembling with both grief and resolve. The protector's footsteps echoed behind her, but he did not speak. He only stood in silence, sharing her gaze toward the heavens. A single shooting star streaked across the sky, brilliant and fleeting. She smiled faintly, tears shining in her eyes. "The stars remind us that even in falling, there is light." She bowed her head, pressing her beads to her heart. The night grew still, and for the first time since the storm began, peace returned. The guardian of the stars had risen, and the cosmic order was restored.